This thing is bouncy. I love it. Nah, it's good. Oh, also, I'm absolutely keeping that sticker there because we didn't spend $500 on it. This is the shelf display model that we bought from A-Main. Half price, literally $250. First drive, everything stock, haven't changed anything except for maybe some settings on the radio. Let's give it a go. Of course, the suspension is going to be very soft and very plushy. And we got the wife on the small Baja Rey with the 5 Pro. But this truck kind of feels as expected, you know? Solid rear axle, extended wheelbase, super soft suspension, big squishy tires. I was actually kind of worried that the enormous scrub radius on the front axle was going to make it handle weird. But so far it seems to be doing pretty well. And the long wheelbase and narrow track width, I thought it would make it traction roll, especially given how soft the tires are. Running 4S. That was just a little hit of full throttle there. Of course, it being green, it matches the surroundings, which is kind of neat. It doesn't seem to want to donkey kick nearly as hard as the Baja Reys do, which is good. Lights, of course, look really cool. I am being just a little bit gentle, working up to it. It jumps pretty well, has a little bit of a bounce at the landing. Of course, ABC is putting in some work. I have the setting set to, what's that? 45-ish%. Butter. Oop, look at that, traction roll. You want to help a brother out? No. There you go. Excellent. Thank you. Looks like she has figured out how to switch models on the 5 Pro, which is cool. She really likes the XRT, which is good. Wow, that doesn't donkey kick like almost at all. I'm impressed. It does like oversteer. It oversteers a lot. Oop. My bad there. And we got the XRT with some new tires. Jesus. Hold on. I got you. There we go. Anyway. Well, now that we know how it jumps, let's go through some of the grass and some of the series bumps, what I like to call it. And I always love a DX3 because they are very, very easy to thumb steer. Love it. I might need to do something about that servo saver. The tires are all over the place, which is partially due to the crazy scrub radius, which is somewhat of what I was worried about. It's a very squishy suspension and tire setup. It doesn't traction roll that much, so I can just kind of adjust my driving style for that. Stock ESC settings, haven't messed with literally anything. Threw in a battery, turned it on, and here we are. I've also ordered the, and I don't normally buy anything from GPM, but they seem to be the only one that have it, the conversion to make this a actual functional sway bar, because as I'm sure you guys might know, this is a fakie. There is no connection between the two links here. The actual sway bar is right there, right in front of the shock. So I just like to have the scale realism actually be functional. If I'm gonna have scale realism, I want it to be as functional as possible. Servo seems to be plenty strong and plenty fast, so I might just do something about that servo saver to eliminate some of that slop. No concerns or complaints with the diff tuning. It does have a lot of oversteer, so that center diff is probably pretty stiff. And I believe these tires are 2.2 size, so they would fit on the laser nut, which is cool. Even though the colors wouldn't match, but they would fit, so there's that. Yeah, this thing loves oversteering. This thing is a dirt drift monster, honestly. You want to drive it? What's up?
I hit a pine cone.
You hit a pine cone? You should drive the Hammer Rey. How do you like the XRT?
I don't know what these kids on the motorcycle are doing. That's why I was like trying to...
Oh, I don't know. They look like they're taking on the trail near the river. Anyway, yeah, just drive it around. Hit the jumps. Give it some beans. See what you think.
What is beans?
Throttle. Beans equals throttle. Yeah, honestly, that was pretty flat. I'm actually quite impressed how well that handled that little straight section you just had.
Oh, look, you have to go flip it.
Oh, look, I have to go flip it. Like, isn't that just the most butter thing ever?
No, butter is butter. Okay.
Right? Isn't that just like the most butter thing ever?
Full beans.
It still donkey kicks a little bit, but not nearly as bad as the Bajas, which is kind of interesting. I wonder if that's a function of the stretched wheelbase. Just need a little bit more beans. No, it's all good. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to hit these ramps right. No, you're not gonna break this. And even if you do, it's not like we can't find parts for it.
Oh,
it's a Losi. Yeah, of course there is.
I thought this was...
No. This is a mass production car. They were on sale not because they're going away, but because, you know, they're just having a sale.
Oh,
and it's based on a Baja Rey. It's based on like the Rey series, right? And there's parts for it. Like, I'm not worried about it.
That was...
Right?
Weird.
Wasn't that just super smooth? This thing rules.
Let me just try something.
Yeah, go ahead. How straight does it go? Hands off the steering?
No. I want to see how it handles with just going through bumps without...
Yeah, it goes pretty straight without any steering input. The only thing I think I might do to it is stiffen up the servo saver. The wheels are kind of all over the place a little bit. You gotta give it a little bit more beans to save the front end. Turns into dinner. But let's take a little durability check. Apart from some compacted dirt in the front bumper, it's the same front bumper design as a regular Baja Rey. Surprise to nobody. But no, this thing's holding up. This thing is holding up. Oh, are we trading already? You like the XRT, don't you? And damn, this truck is pretty.
Thank you.
I quite like this. For 250 bucks, the price of a Mini Maxx.
It counts.
So this should come as a surprise to literally nobody, but look at that. They're the same, basically. So naturally, how do they compare? Let's have a go. Let's get the obvious out of the way. The wheels are smaller by a lot, and the wheelbase is shorter by a lot. So they're both running 4S, both running the same battery. This one does have a fair amount of modifications, but nothing that really affects the handling. Upgraded drive shaft, a little mud flaps, stuff like that. Spicy servo. Stock motor, stock ESC. I did have a big fat motor in here at one point, but I didn't like the added weight. Still donkey kicks like crazy. This feels stable, more stable, and that's probably because of the shorter wheels, the smaller wheels, so it rides lower. And that, you know, is not a surprise at all. still plenty soft in the suspension department. It will still oversteer into drift, which is nice. Just like that. Kind of whip into a tight corner. Of course, the gyro is doing a lot of heavy lifting for me because I am not a pro. And I like having a little help. Nothing wrong with that.
You know what we should buy, babe?
What do we
A
want?
tripod.
Yeah, I agree. I also want to get those little microphones that people put like on the collar of their shirt.
I bet you Best Buy has that.
I just order them online too, but
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure there's an app somewhere that will connect like those little mics to your phone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Ooh.
yeah, nosedive. But I mean, if Doug Janiro has got 3 million followers, subscribers on YouTube, and he still records all of his car reviews on an iPhone, I mean, it can be done. By no means am I a Doug Janiro, for better or for worse. I don't have that many quirks and features.
You're a Hero.
I mean, my username is named after a grocery store that was way before my time.
Well, Piggly Wigglies to me and Salinas are the police.
Piggly Wiggly to me was a childhood nickname growing up. That's why we've chosen that name.
What is deluxe? With tomato and lettuce?
Cheese and bacon, that too.
Stop, you're making me hungry.
Right?
Oh!
Rolls like a football. She wants to drive the XRT, but she's stuck with the Curry. I might need to gear it down because of that low speed cogging that you just heard, but again, this is stock unmodified, haven't changed anything about it. I'll play with some ESC settings too, maybe some more punch. Definitely more braking though.
This wheel seems a little loose.
On the radio?
Yeah, I feel that.
That feels normal to me.
It feels, or maybe I'm just not used to this kind of radio.
Right, you spend all your time driving one radio, you drive something different and it's super foreign. Your reaction to the Traxxas radio yesterday was pretty hilarious. Like, what the hell is this?
I don't like this.
Yeah, neither do I. Yo, did it just pirouette? Yeah, neither do I. Yo, did it just pirouette? That is hilarious.
It did it on the wheel. On the back wheel.
That is so funny.
Did you catch it?
Let's go buy a lottery ticket because I don't think we're going to be able to do that twice. I mean, look at this Hero Dirt. I mean, come on. Perfect for bashing. Perfect, 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 perfect. Love it. It's not going to be like this for long, though. Once summer hits, it's going to be a dust bowl. You trying to do it twice?
No. I promise I'm...
Oh. Yeah, this thing traction rolls a lot easier than the smaller Baja Rey. Yo, we almost made it do it twice.
It's doing it on its own when I hit the jump. I don't know why. Watch.
Oh, that was pretty butter.
Yeah, 'cause I hit the throttle.
Here, let me get out of your way.
Get out of the way, go give me some food.
There you go. A little bit of throttle midair, keeps the nose up. There you go, there you go. You know what just occurred to me? It's probably not donkey kicking nearly as hard because the wheels are bigger. It carries more inertia. Yo!
Did I break it?
Oh, that was awesome.
Did I break it?
I doubt it.
I'm so
No, it looks good, it looks good. Bring it over here.
trying.
Yeah, I know. Traffic jam, traffic jam. There we go. Nah, it's good, it's good. This thing is bouncy, I love it. Nah, it's good. Oh, also, I'm absolutely keeping that sticker there because we didn't spend $500 on it. This is the shelf display model that we bought from A-Main. Half price, literally, $250. But one thing I do want to do, though, when we get home is I'm going to take this antenna wire and shove it somewhere else because I don't want this wire getting chewed up.
I don't want to play with it.
No, don't worry about it. And it can handle it now. I'm not worried about it.
Put it under the roof right now?
Actually, that's actually kind of smart. Hey, look at that.
Just to keep it safe?
Genius. As a temporary solution. But honestly, no, this thing is handling just fine. I'm not worried about it at all. This thing rules. Oh, did you just do the switcheroo on me?
No, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
I'm absolutely gonna bind it to my 5 Pro though. Probably. Maybe. Not absolutely. I don't know. Even on 4S, this thing is not nearly as spicy as I thought it would. Why are you giggling over here? I'm gonna need...
Look at the bird.
What? Huh? Yo! While you're at it, you wanna flip me over?
Let me show you how Pro does it.
You're making me look bad over here? Show me how the Pro does it.
Just like that, honey. Just like that. Soak it up. Like
Yeah.
the Pro does it, huh?
Shut up. I don't want to hear it.
Let me show you how Pro does it.
Again?
One time.
2 times.
Yeah, it won't be 6. Oh, you missed it!
Yo!
Perfect.
You know what? Will this do the Creighton 4S backwards
Try it.
jumps? Oh my goodness. I've been missing this since we sold our 4S. We gotta try this. I need both hands for this. All right.
Let me just hold on. Wait a minute. Let me just back up a little.
If this jumps
just in
backwards
case.
like a 4S Creighton, then this is gonna be hilarious. Yeah, this ESC doesn't like it. So, what I'm gonna do is flip the motor wires so that forward trigger makes it go
No,
backwards.
just one time before you do that. Before you do that, do it full beans. Go ahead.
What do you mean?
Full beans.
No, right here, right now, no. Take you out.
No, full beans.
Oh, no, we'll do that later. I thought you meant like right now.
Yes, right into my face like you did the very first time you got an RC car.
Wait, we don't talk about that. The body's over there. Can you kick that to me?
One time.
One time. Yo, that works. All right.
And what does switching the...
Deliberately making the motor spin backwards. If you swap any 2 motor wires on a
Motor
brushless motor,
wires.
it makes the motor spin backwards. And in this case, forward trigger is going to make the truck go backwards.
And make sure you remember that or you're going to run into yourself.
The color coded. So,
No, I meant on your controller. Remember they're backwards now.
Yes. So forward trigger,
Mm-hmm.
truck goes backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to like retrain my brain a little bit. That way the ESC behaves normally. And I want to see if the chassis, the whole truck, can behave like the 4S Creighton did.
Oh my god.
Honestly, it kind of does.
It looks like you have everything in reverse.
I've low-key always wanted to do this like on a forklift because
Like-
they are rear steer.
Do you know how when people record, they put their cars in?
Yo! Yeah! Oh, that's hilarious.
Did you hear me?
Sorry, I was excited by the jump. Full beans. That is hilarious. I'm sorry, can you repeat what you were saying? I'm
I
sorry.
was saying, you know, when people are recording regular, like we are right now, they rewind it to make it look going
Oh,
backwards.
yeah. Edit the video and play
Yeah.
it backwards. Yeah.
But you should do that. But making the recording go forward so the car looks like it's going forward.
Oh, I know.
Do you know what I
okay,
mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Run it backwards, play
Yeah.
it back.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Because you're going backwards, it'll make it look like it's going forward. Only we come up with this type of shit. Nice jump.
This is hilarious. I haven't had this much fun in RC since the Drift Bigfoot and my very first 2-wheel drive Stampede with all the wheelies we did. This needs to be a racing series.
Yeah?
Spec fifth scale, backwards.
No, design it like it's looking like it looks like it's backwards, but it's really forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of have to like really retrain your brain because the steering's backwards.
Nice.
Oh, this is hilarious. Oh, that's LBC. That's
Aww.
full beans LBC. All right, that's it. It got nothing. Hey guys, just a quick little note here. In editing the video, I noticed that the angle of the recording is not quite right. You're going to see that the top of my head is cut off just like that. Reason being is because, quite simply, oops. Honestly, oops. The wife has been dealing with some vision situation concerns, and so she was more focused on listening to me than recording me. I don't care. The discussion that we had was legitimate. The video doesn't really matter in terms of us talking, so I was more focused on getting the footage for the cars and not necessarily the footage of my face. So the discussion is legitimate, so just you're gonna have to deal with me talking like this the whole time. So what do we think? An XRT handles impressively well backwards. So that's fun. The other comparison that we're making here is the smaller Baja Rey, and the way over there are Hammer Rey, the Curry. Obviously it being taller, bigger wheels, right, and a longer wheelbase, it's going to traction roll more. It's a lot softer, but if you can manage that traction roll where that limit is, this thing is butter. I mean, it cannot possibly be a smoother handling experience. It's just so plush. It's like, in my mind, it's actually kind of what I would imagine a proper crawler would handle if you make it like 4S brushless, but it doing what you actually hoped it would and not what a 4S crawler would actually do. Anybody who crawls, who puts big power in it, knows it ruins the entire experience. They're not made to do that, right? And so when you do that, they handle terribly. But this is like, in my child mind, what I would want a high power crawler to do, if that makes sense.
Between the Baja Rey and Curie, which one do you like more?
I'd have to spend more time with it to know for sure.
Okay.
So far, I'm really, really happy with how the Curry handles. Because, I mean, we paid $250. It's actually on sale for $280 right now. I don't know how long that's gonna go for. I might have got the email today as of filming that today is the last day for that sale. I don't know, don't hold my to it. But we bought the shelf display truck at A-Main in Chico.
And it's been there since it opened.
In that particular, this exact truck has been on display since that new location opened. Make of that what you will. But because it was the shelf model and not sealed in a box, it was $30 off the already discounted price. So we spent $250 in tax out the door for that truck. We spent less on this than a Mini Maxx.
And less with the laser nut.
I spent less on this than I did laser nut. I got my laser nut used for $350. And I mean, I love the laser nut. You guys have seen it. But I mean, for $250, you really can't beat it. Sticker is still intact. It says $500. But this thing is hilarious to drive because when you see something like this, in my lizard brain, I almost kind of think it's a crawler. And of course, if you put a sensor system in it and run low voltage, you could probably make it crawl. Because it's got super, super squishy tires. I don't know if we talked about this, but I mean, look at that. This is literally like crawler tires. The only difference with these is that they're glued and not beadlocks, right? So you could put these on a crawler, on like a larger scale crawler, because these are 2.2s, proper 2.2s, and do okay with them. I mean, it's kind of obscene how they were able to design this to make it handle and look as way as it does. Yeah, this might be a fun bridge between, like, if there was ever a basher crawler, it would be this. That's kind of the impression I'm taking from here. Super Baja Rey to me is kind of like if a Slash was more scale realistic in the drivetrain and the chassis and stuff, because I mean, it looks like a Slash. When I'm driving this thing around and people who are kind of in the RC world, they see this like, oh, you put lights on your Slash, except it's not really a Slash. And then I go and show them underneath it, and they're all like, well, that doesn't look like my Slash. No, of course it doesn't. And that's fine.
And doesn't people like don't people get the Slayer and the Slash mixed up all the time?
Yeah, when I bring a Slayer, because it has a Slash body with holes cut in it for the nitro motor, for it to breathe and access the fuel filler and all that, it looks the same, and it uses the exact same size wheel as a Slash. They use the dual rim size, what is it, the 2.2 3.0. The only thing that's different is that it's 14 mil hex, and the offset is a little weird, but like the rim size, the tires, if you were to go get the rim and the tire and glue them yourself, the tire is the exact same part number as what would be on a Slash, just a different rim. So like the proportions are all there. It's like a touch longer and a touch wider, but I mean from a distance you're like, yeah, that's a Slash for sure. But they're not. It can possibly be more different, other than maybe the shape of the body, right? But yeah, that happens all the time. This is what happens when you look at something like the Super Baja Rey and look at, like, I don't know, a 5T almost, They're both Losi, so they're both going to be similar, and of course a 5T is going to be a shitload bigger. But when you look at it just on the face of it, you're like, yeah, truck body, it's a giant slash. But I mean, they are so vastly different, right? I just like how different they are in terms of the tires, the suspension, the stretch on the chassis and stuff like that. All I really need to do with it for my liking is stiffen up the servo saver, makes the steering a little less twitchy, because it's bouncing off of that spring. It's got plenty fast and powerful steering. If you look down here, plenty fast for me, plenty strong for me, but it's just bouncing off of that servo saver spring, and so like it's real darty. But that's an easy fix, shim it right up, no big deal. I love these, and for less than Mini Maxx money, I mean, you can't go wrong. Does that make a Mini Maxx overpriced? Maybe. Does that make the Curry overpriced? Absolutely. I would have never spent $500 on this, brand new, not even close. For $250, like, I thought they were joking. Straight up, I saw the $250 price tag on there. I'm like, someone took that off of a Maverick or something and stuck it on the Losi. I'm like, shut up, for real? No. So I asked the guys, looked at the website, yeah, the sale's $280 and that one's, you know, $250, shelf model. We've talked about it. I mean, I didn't even think about it. That's not why I went to A-Main. We went to go drift. And here we are, we bought a Hammer Rey. I, he, she, me, Wumbo, whatever. This truck rules. Buy it. If you can get it at that price, get it. Don't even think about it. You know what this reminds me of? When they were dumping the Vendetta for $200. Remember that?
On Horizon, right?
I was on Horizon. It was summer. It was a couple years ago.
Wasn't it? Yeah. I thought it was in December.
No, it was the summer. It was.
I
remember it being hot.
Okay.
But when they were dumping the Vendetta for $200, I'm like, I don't even need to think about it. Buy one right now. Love it. Buy it. You'll enjoy it. They're weird. They handle weird. They look weird. They're different. It's different than what we're all used to. The slashes and the maxes and I'm rambling on. Get one. You'll love it. Back at home now. We're taking a closer look at this truck. I haven't actually taken anything apart up until now. I wanted to save that until after we drove it. So we took the body panels off to take a closer look. And immediately what I noticed is something really annoying. I already know that taking the body panels off can be really annoying in itself, but this is especially annoying. These pieces here that attach to the body, they act as, you know, some scale realistic details, but they attach right here, right? Which is whatever. And the body panel goes over the backside, or not over the backside, it goes over the side just like that. And there's a hole here, that hole right there. It lines up right here, just like that. Now, the annoying thing with that is that in order to remove the body panel, this piece has to come out, and this piece has to come out with the screw from the back side. And you can see the other screw right there for the left side body panel. And this is really annoying because I have to do one of these from the bottom, kind of twist and pretzel my hand to get in there to take that off. So that's kind of annoying. But on the good side, Losi has finally started to pay attention to the details. Now, my Super Baja Rey, you guys know that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that because they screwed up the details. This is really nice. I like this. This is a little clip wire management attachment. It just clips onto the chassis there. I really like that. That's really smart because it doesn't put any sort of zip tie amount of tension on it, so that if you just put a bare zip tie around this wire and then you go drive it, you run the risk of cutting the wire because the zip tie has sharp edges and it will eat into it. They also have these low profile connectors, which I quite like. And I also thought this is a neat little detail too. They took this ferrite ring here and zip tied it to the cage. And of course, this is going to be way more durable than the wire itself. And as you can tell, it's not making contact with the wire. So the zip tie is only bracing against the plastic cage piece and not actually any of the, wire conductor. So it's just the ferrite ring here. But this is actually kind of smart. It keeps it in place. I like that. However, this isn't secured to anything. So this just kind of bounces around. I'll clean up some of the wiring here. I'm also going to be putting a bigger motor in it. Just because if you have the opportunity to do it, then you do it. So we're doing that. I also don't like how they zip tied it here. So they made some progress. I like this little bit attention to detail here, the low profile connectors. But again, they're putting the zip ties against the bare wire. Now, if I just left it here and drove it for months and months and months, eventually this is going to eat into the heat shrink, which is, going to annoy me a little bit. It's not mission critical, but it is something to think about. They also put a zip tie around that section of wire here. So, They didn't do anything to protect the wire from the sharp edges of the zip tie, so if I keep driving on that, it's going to eat into the insulation, and that could actually be a problem. I also mentioned it earlier in our drive that the antenna just sticks out over the top of the roof panel, so I'm going to actually get rid of this tube, and they zip tied it to the fake exhaust there, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. But otherwise, they're starting to pay more attention to detail with these, and I hope this results in maybe the next generation of Super Reys, that maybe the paint isn't going to be so terrible and the wire management isn't going to be so lazy. Hopefully, one can dream. Looking at the panels themselves, it's the same really, really thin paint that we've come to expect, but I mean, it's held up. It's held up. I'm not seeing any hard edge flaking like we were seeing on the Super Baja Rey, so that's good. Especially after all the tumbles that we had. This is the top hood panel here, and it seems to have held up great. I'm not seeing any peeling, any flaking, any of that. So, albeit we weren't that hard on it, but it also wasn't super gentle. And here's also the roof panel. So that's cool. It looks like the holes mostly line up with the dimples in the Lexan. So there's that. And they also didn't create this green and gray and white pattern with stickers. They created it with paint, as the Lord intended. The only stickers here are going to be like the Curry, the Nito, right? And the sponsor decals. But generally, the paint is the color, which is good. And the stickers don't provide the overall graphics theme like it does on the Super Baja Rey. That pisses me off. The yellow, black, and white, it's not paint. The whole body is actually just gray, and the color accents are all stickers, every single one of them. It's awful, awful, awful. But anyway, this, I am pleasantly surprised. This truck rules. It's fun to drive. It's weird. It's wonky. It's quirky. And I love it. I was not expecting to enjoy this truck as much as I did. We do got the actual functional sway bar coming, so that's going to be cool. And I was also thinking about getting the actual functional bump stops, because the ones that attach to the body are just plastic, fakey, right? Nothing there. It looks cool, sure, but they actually make some actual spring-loaded functional ones, which could be fun. But otherwise, this thing is fun. This thing is rad. Only thing I don't like from a design perspective in terms of like the chassis itself is going to be the scrub radius. You can see the steering axis is right here. Lot of scrub radius. And I'm actually going to be stiffening up the servo saver. It's going to be a pain in the butt to get to, but there's a nylock right there that adjusts the tension on that spring. So I'll just tighten that a little bit. And otherwise, this thing is good to go. Honestly, this thing is rad. I'm liking it. All right, back at the railroad, we're going to be giving this the rock test, is what I call it. First started doing this when I got my laser nut. Made some changes. I stiffened up the servo saver spring. Had to shim it because the nut was already bottomed out. I also bound it to my 5 Pro. It's also running the new dual protocol software update. Oh, but I did take the driver figures out, mainly just because I want to be able to, you know, keep an eye on what's going on inside there. It's just easier that way. But yeah, haven't changed really anything else. Same battery. I did mess with some ESC settings, gave it some more punch and braking, but that's about it. So let's run it up and down these rocks and see how it does. The laser nut just eats it up, super smooth, but something like a basher, it just can't handle it. So let's give it some throttle. Not quite as graceful as the laser nut. Yeah, not quite as graceful as a laser nut. Still kind of all over the place. Yeah, this thing is still all over the place. This thing definitely calls for a stronger bell crank servo saver and maybe a high-end servo, because the front end is just all over the place. But honestly, other than the steering kind of being super twitchy, it's not too bad, not too bad. Not as good as a laser nut, but not far off. This might very well be one of those when in doubt, throttle out situations, because it seems to be smoother the faster it goes. Ooh! Crashy, crashy. How did that take it? Not too bad. Put a little ding right there, but it took it. It absolutely took it. Oh, that's not good. Look at that. Busted the light bar. Might have to glue that or something. The lights themselves survived, but it is what it is. $250 truck. What are you gonna do? Anyway, let's go across the street to my little bashing spot over here. Give that a go. When this truck does start to begin to tumble, it actually is kind of like shot. It pogos off of the tires and suspension, which is peculiar. Kind of fun to see, actually. For 250 bucks or $280 for anyone buying regular price, because again, this was the display model on the shelf. You can't go wrong. I mean, for the price of a Mini Maxx, right? For the price of a Mini Maxx, you're getting 4S, scale realism, durability, right? Something vastly different than what perhaps you bashers out there are used to, right? Something a little different you can pull up to the course with. You're gonna see your usual X Maxes and your Slashes, right? Your Creightons, but how many people other than you who have them has a Hammer Rey, or really Losi Rey of any kind? These things are just so rad. There we go. Let's go up. There we go. And you know, I have been thinking about this, because this is the next day. I have been thinking about this. Hammer Rey to me is what I think the, I don't know if you guys remember, the Rift, the axial Rift, the rock bouncer, ran 4S, right? Blowing up diffs and axles every time you take it out to drive it. I've never driven one, I never bought one, just from what I've heard and from what I've seen. And of course we know by now that I don't really trust reviews or anything, but I don't know, I haven't really seen or heard much from them since they came out a few years ago. I think this truck kind of does better what the Rift tried to do. Now, I wouldn't call this a rock bouncer. I don't even think I would call a laser nut a rock bouncer, to be honest. Rock bouncer to me implies 2 solid axle, full cage chassis, tube chassis, right? This is not that. Kind of a hybrid, if you will. But it's durable. It's durable. And you can, you know, reasonably beat up on it more than the Rift could really handle. I think it handles, from what I can tell, and of course I'm gonna need to get myself, or at least try to drive a Rift somewhere, somehow. At least from what I can tell, it handles more like a Rift than it does a Baja Rey, which is more what it's mechanically related to, which is bizarre. This is going to be a fun truck. This is a keeper. Honestly, I think this is a keeper. At the very least, for a while. Not the most stable thing in the world. You got to really learn how to drive it. But I mean, would we expect anything less from Losi? I don't think they make anything that's necessarily easy to drive, or rather to drive fast without crashing. And they're plenty durable. I mean, I have no problems with the durability aspects. This truck rules. Although I do want to keep it out of the water. This truck rules. And I just can't stop repeating myself. For $250/$80, you really just can't go wrong. And again, I am absolutely keeping the price sticker on the chassis. We'll see how long that lasts until it just gets chewed up by, you know, driving. This truck is rad. Just so rad. It's also on my bucket list to actually go to one of the King of the Hammer events. After all, that is what this truck is modeled after. Yep. I think we'll end it there.